All right, what about a team that doesn't need a turnaround? That's the Philadelphia Union, a true staple of consistency in Major League Soccer's Eastern Conference over the years. And no bigger part of the Union's success than goalie Andre Blake. The 33-year-old Jamaican international is coming off another solid year as he gets ready to head into his 11th MLS campaign. Andre Blake of the Philadelphia Union and Jamaican national team next with us here on Futbol Americas. Andre, welcome back to the show. Great to have you again.
Thank you guys for having me.
So let's start with the Philadelphia Union, man. You've been there forever. Do you feel like now you're just kind of part of the furniture in Philly?
That's twice that they mentioned you're either getting older or been. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
All right.
I noticed there's a trend.
Yeah, there's a trend.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me. Philadelphia, as you said, that's the only club I know professionally. It's been an amazing ride. It's been an amazing journey. I've grown with that club. That club have grown. And it's just a story to tell.
You can see the growth too, right? Because you've been there since 2014. There was a time where Philadelphia was kind of considered, at least in MLS, there was always the Open Cup successes or finals appearances, kind of an also-ran. Now when we think of at least the Eastern Conference, you're always thinking of the Philadelphia Union. Why? What's happened over kind of that long spell?
Yeah, the culture have changed. When I just got drafted, it was more of just being a participant in the league. And Ernie Stewart came in. He was the first, part of the change that, decided, we need to change the culture, start to bring in, different players. The standards changed, the standards got higher, and, we just brought in a new culture, holding players accountable and, starting to become a team that make it to the playoffs every year, bare minimum. And then after that, we were still hungry for more. And, we just decided that we need to be, one of the clubs that you talk about first when you talk about the Eastern Conference.
Over the years, we've seen the Philly Union rack up accolades like Goalkeeper of the Year multiple times, Defender of the Year, MVP, or no, he wasn't actually MVP. He should have been MVP. Coach of the Year. What's missing for Philly Union to take that step as MLS Cup champions?
Yeah, 21. we were really close, and I feel like we're right there. We're right there. We just have to keep pushing, and we have that sense of belief that we're really close. We're able to retain, the core group of players, which for me is very important. You need that continuity. So we just have to keep going, keep believing, use the experience that we have gathered, and hopefully, sooner than later we can make that last step.
From the outside, it's easy to see, like, you guys are always in the big games, but oftentimes you're not winning them. So from the outside, I might say, they have a big game problem. Do you feel like you have that in Philly?
I wouldn't consider it a big game problem. Maybe we're just missing like an extra player or two, depth-wise, it's very important, I think, on the MLS Cup that we lost, having to lose Corey in that game, we didn't really have much more. And, depth with the amount of games that you have to play and the competitiveness of the schedule, you need to have a strong bench. And I feel like to an extent, we were missing that a little bit. And, even last year, I don't think our depth was as strong as the year before, and that could have played a factor in how far we go.
Andre, a lot of times we have interviews with players. We ask them about what they would change in Major League Soccer or what they think, kind of hampers Major League Soccer. And they always bring up the salary cap. They always bring up these mechanisms. You guys are kind of the exception to that rule. The year that you guys won the Supporters Shield, I believe you guys are 26th in spending. What are your thoughts? And what would Andre Blake do?
It's good and it's bad. I always say that the way we are built, I would say we overachieve every year, We don't spend a lot. We don't have the big fancy names, but we have a group of guys that are winners, very competitive. And when we play against the big name teams, we kind of get fired up for those games. Sometimes we fall short, but, it kind of motivates people that, all right, if you can spend this amount and still achieve to an extent, people can become okay with that. But I definitely think, if we can get rid of some of the rules or be a little bit more flexible, this league can really, quickly become, one of the top leagues in the world.
You know, we see the additions, though, like some of the huge names. You mentioned the LAFC team that you guys faced in that final. They're bringing Gareth Bale off the bench. You know, you want to talk about depth. This past year, we get Lionel Messi coming to the league. You guys, you mentioned you don't have the stars. Without those stars, can you compete with where MLS is heading to this kind of superstar-driven team where teams like LA and Miami, they can bring in almost whoever they want?
Yeah, teams are stacking up right now, and if you want to stay relevant, you have to go with the movements, you know. And I still think we have a really good team to compete, but you know, sometimes when you get into these really big games, you might come up short, you know. So again, it comes down to the ambition of the club, you know. Is the club, you know, okay with just developing young players and selling and being okay just getting into those big games but not taking the final step, you know? But if the ambitions of the club is to really take the next step, you know, at some point we're going to have to make a decision to really, you know, go with the movement of the league, you know. I'm not saying we need to, you know, splash big cash because we might not have that, but, you know, making a few additions can be really important because, you know, I think that would be the next step.
You know, Andre, when I was playing back in the 1900s, it was early 2000s, Major League Soccer. I was playing for the Galaxy, and there was a perception amongst the league that the league would turn a blind eye when it came to the Galaxy, that they would let us get away with a lot of things, you know, to bring in players, to do things. You know, Ernst Tanner, your sporting director, actually said something to that effect about John Thornton bringing in Gareth Bale. Is there a perception, maybe in your locker room, like a chip on your shoulder, that you guys don't get those players, you guys don't have that benefit of the doubt, you guys don't have a city, with all due respect to Philly, which is an amazing city?
Yeah, easy, man. Philly people are going to be mad if you finish that sentence wrong.
I got drafted by the Philly Kicks. Shout out Philly Kicks. What I'm saying is it's not an it's not an LAFC, LA Galaxy. It's not one of these destination cities for some of these superstars. Does that kind of give you a chip on your shoulder, the locker room?
Yeah, it definitely does. And listen, life is not fair, you know, but it is what it is. And I think, you know, that's kind of one of the reasons why we play the way we play. You know, we know that, you know, we might not have the luxury as some of these fancy clubs in these fancy cities, but I mean, we know what's at stake. You know, we know our duties, and we just have to go out there and still do our best, and to know that if, you know, a group of individuals coming together can beat these stars, you know, the feeling that you get from that, you know, it's amazing. It's not easy. Sometimes we do come up short, because you're playing against world-class players, let's be honest. But it is really what motivates us.
When we talk about stars, there is no bigger name than Lionel Messi. We went crazy. Probably people in your dressing room went crazy. People all across the league went crazy when you find out Messi's coming to the U.S. But you're a goalie that's got to go up against him. So when you hear it, is it a different reaction?
Shots all day, was it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you have to respect the guy. He's an unbelievable player, you know, and the first thing that came to mind, you know, I get to play against Messi. What can I do to stop Messi? You know, and you can't really stop him, to be honest. He's the best in the world, you know, but having the chance to play against him is an unbelievable, you know, feeling, you know, and yeah, if you get to shut him out, you know, make some really big saves against him, it can really be big time for you as a goalkeeper.
Before we let you go, we got to talk about the Jamaican national team. I remember the Netflix doc, Captains, and there's a pretty intense scene in there where you were talking about what was wrong with the national team. Fast forward to the end of 2023, you guys are pulling off this incredible comeback against Canada. How'd you fix it? What did you change?
Yeah, I just think there were some conversations that need to be had. You know, I was getting super frustrated because when I look around the room and I see all the talent that we have in the room with the amount of guys that's playing in the Premier League, I know how good we can be. But, you know, for whatever reason, when we come together for a national team, we just couldn't figure it out, you know. And for me, it was getting to a point where I'm saying, like, we're all getting older, and I do not want to look back, you know, 10 years from now and be like, oh, we had so many good players but nothing to show for it, you know. So it was, for me, it was a very hard conversation, but I had to have that conversation to kind of let guys realize that, listen, you know, we have what it takes, and we just need to figure it out, because we need to figure it out before it's too late, you know. And I think guys are starting to understand the assignment more and more, and to just understand that you're not just going to show up and it's going to happen. It's going to take hard work and commitment.
Andre, if I were to ask you last question, if I were to ask you how the Copa America group for Jamaica would end up 1, 2, 3, 4, how would you rank them?
Can you go again?
If I were to ask you how Copa America, your group in Copa America, would end up, Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, and yourself, how would the ranking go 1, 2, 3, 4 in the group phase?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. 2 teams qualify. I'm gonna put Jamaica at second. I don't know who's gonna be first, third, or fourth, but we're betting on ourselves to qualify for the knockout round.
All that matters is that Jamaica's in the top
right.
2, right?
That's all that
Take it to the
matters.
knockout
Could
round.
you
There it
imagine?
is.
Wow.
Andre Blake, Jamaican national team and Philadelphia Union. Thanks so much for the time here on Futbol Americas. Great to be with you.
Thank you guys for having me.